Hi everyone, Barbara from AllBrands.com. I'm so excited to be with you here today, and Cindy Hogan is joining us to show us an amazing, very cute, very fun garden flag tutorial, and she'll be using ScanNCut and My Design Center and going from the ScanNCut to the XP2 Luminaire, and then from the XP2 Luminaire back to the ScanNCut, and it's just going to be so much fun. Don't forget, we do giveaways at the end of every live broadcast. So if you haven't already, please comment #AllBrands to be eligible to win a $50 AllBrands.com e-gift card that you can use on our website. And we'll announce the winner at the end of the broadcast. So another announcement before we get started, it's summer and it's sizzling outside, but so are the sales. We have a summer sizzle sale right now, and it just has been extended due to popular demand. So this is it, and it's up to 72 months, 0% financing on the XP2 Luminaire, and that's the machine that we'll be showing today with Cindy Hogan. So I'm so excited, SEW. And it's so great to see everyone in the comments. We have such a great group. I'm so lucky to be a sewer, quilter, embroiderer, crafter, and hang out every week with you guys. And I'll bring in Cindy Hogan, and then we'll say hey to a few of you. Hi, Cindy.
Hi. I was waiting for you to say summer sizzle sale 3 times really fast and see what came out.
Let's see who can say it fastest, the firstest.
I don't think I can say it once. You ready?
1, 2, 3. Summer sizzle
sale. I got summer scissor sale instead of sizzle sale.
Oh my gosh. We have someone on our Facebook group, So Forum, that says they're excited to see the flag tutorial today.
Well, I'm looking forward to showing them. It's kind of a fun one today. It's fun and easy, quick and inexpensive. Basically, it takes more of your time than it does to stitch it than it does to create it. And the fabric that I used is an outdoor fabric. So it's got a plastic interior on it. It's pretty much a polyester, so it's not going to fade. And it's cheap. It's really cheap.
Oh my goodness.
I should say. And since I use polyester thread, it should not fade.
That's very important. An outdoor fabric. I suggest maybe Scotch guarding too. That's just a thought.
I don't think you'll need to be honest. And I mean, we're using heat transfer vinyl too, so everything should be pretty much weather resistant. It should not soak it up.
Alma says, Cindy, we love you.
And Edna says it's frugal. There you go. It's frugal. Inexpensive. But it looks high end. There you go.
Oh my gosh. Do you have it there with you to show?
I have it at the other table. So we'll start over there to show them what we're going to do. And then we'll go to our ScanNCut and get playing. You ready to go?
I am so ready. So y'all, if you have any questions, please ask them in the comments and I'll try to get to them live during the show today. So take it away, Cindy.
All right, guys. So you see what we are going to do here today. This is the finished garden flag. And I have done double sides. Okay. So you can make it single-sided if you want, or you can make it double-sided. I went double-sided. I'm going to tell you my measurements. It's about 12 inches wide, give or take. And total, if you do a double-sided, was around 29 inches. Basically, this was one strip of fabric, the whole thing. And I just split it in half to be able to do 2 garden flags. Pretty easy to go that route. I have marked the center here in a heat erasable pen. You can obviously use chalk, whatever kind of marker that you like. That's what I've got going. And I'm going to show you how to put this on the machine easily and get it right smack dab in the middle when we go to that part. I've got my 10 5/8 hoop. And if you don't use your 10 5/8 hoop, gang, you're missing out. And I've got tearaway adhesive stabilizer in here. And I've already scored it, so I'm going to take it and pop this off. We'll just get kind of prepared before we get going, so we don't come back and forth quite as much.
Cindy, what do you use to score your stabilizer?
I have like a little scoring pen. Nothing fancy. You can use a pen. You can use a dull needle. There's all kinds of things. This one just keeps me from poking myself because it goes out and pops back in. And I don't lose it quite as fast as I lose a needle. So we're going to talk my connection today. So let's hit our ScanNCut. Sorry for walking in front of the camera. Let's let it focus itself here for a second and let mine wake up. There we go. And let me find my stylus. That is the biggest thing that I lose. All right. On the left-hand side of your ScanNCut, you're going to see that little left navigation arrow. We're going to touch that. And we're going to touch the My Connection key. Now, you guys know that there's over 1,300 patterns built into this machine. I'm on the SDX330D, and the 1,300 patterns that we can access are the non-Disney ones. So we're going to go and we're going to tell this we are going to send something from our ScanNCut machine to our Luminaire. So let's touch the Send key. And we're going to grab something from our built-in patterns because that's what you can send. You can send built-in content. We can't scan something in to send over at this time. We can basically use our built-in content. So I went with the logo category. So the My Garden is in your logos. And if you haven't played with this category, this is quite fun. You've got your days of the week and months of the year right here. And then you've got your other logos. So I'm going to touch the other logos. So if y'all want to put days of the week on your panties like they used to do, go for it, or your towels. Haven't done that in many, many years. But there are all kinds of words in here to play with. Believe is absolutely gorgeous when stitched as an applique. You've got all kinds of them in here that are fun. I've done the Grateful. I've done Create. There's quite a few different ones in here to play with. We're going to go down and find My Garden. So let's see here. I'm close. Oops, there it is. My Garden. So we're going to touch that and we're just going to say set. And you'll notice when I get to this screen that there's a grayed out area over here on the right. That represents your 10 5/8 by 16-inch frame. So you can't put something out here on this side. You have to stay within the white area. Otherwise, it won't transfer. You can edit this if you want to. You can make it bigger. I will tell you, if you think you want to make it huge, then make it a bit bigger here so that you have more room to resize it when you get to the machine. We should be good with the way it was, but let's go ahead and touch OK. Touch OK again and touch OK one more time. So now you see this little button down here. When we're in My Connection, instead of going to cut or selecting a function, we have the key called transfer. So we're going to say transfer, and it's telling me that there's something out there that I've sent over and that this is going to override it. Is that okay? Yes, it is fine. It can only have one thing floating in the cloud at a time. Once it has done its thing, it's saying it's finished. We'll go ahead and say okay and move over to our Luminaire. We good so far?
Oh, yes. So we've only had one question. Judith is asking if we can do this with the 10 needle by brother. So the answer would be to do the transfer. No, you would have to do it through USB stick, but you can still do it. You just have to do it through USB, correct?
No, we have to do it a totally different way. So you have to draw it and then scan it back into a USB because that scans it in as a JPEG. And then you bring it into My Design Center as a JPEG. So it's a different process, totally.
Got it. And so if someone has a Dream Machine 2, Would it
That
be
would be the same way. Heather and I just did a series on that in our group, and we'll talk about that later.
That was a great video. I'll try to find it and put it in the comments.
So if we touch My Design Center and we touch the Stamps Shape menu, this little key right here, the circle with the square, when My Connection is activated on your Luminaire, you get a new key. And it's the Retrieve from ScanNCut machine. And the only way you can activate My Connection is to buy one of the new ScanNCut machines. That's where it comes from. The code comes with that box. So let's go ahead and touch OK. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I touched OK twice. Let me use my finger instead. All right. So what I did was, the first thing I did was I resized everything. So let's select it all. And I wanted to make it about 221. So we're going to touch size, and it's right at 165. So let's increase it proportionally to about 221. And that's kind of a random number. It's just what I ended up with. I liked the proportion. So there's nothing special about that number. That's just the proportion I like. But you'll see that I've got my shape. So let's come in and let's choose a fill for it. I thought it was fun to put on a decorative fill. And since we're talking gardens, I went into my stitch properties menu and I touched the decorative stitch menu category. And I went to select. Down here, you've got flowers here and you've got flowers here. I like these flowers better. Don't ask me why, but that's the one I chose. And I touched OK. I picked my color, and let's choose purple today. We're going to go ahead and touch OK. And then we want to tell it we want to fill the whole thing. So we're going to touch the paint bucket, which is your flood fill tool. Can you all see my screen well enough? I feel like it's too bright. We're going to touch.
So far,
let me zoom. Do what?
I can see so far, but I'll let you know if anyone says otherwise in the comments.
So we're going to touch inside our two areas. I just zoomed in so that we could easily nab that, and we can zoom back out, and you'll see that I've got my garden filled in with a decorative fill in the color purple, right? If I want to change my outline stitch to a different color, I can do it here, or I can do it in the next menu. I'll do it in the next menu to actually, I'll show you one way and we'll undo it. If I touch my paint bucket and I touch my stitch properties, I can choose a different color and touch OK. And then you can simply touch the areas that you want it to change the color. But you got to make sure you touch everything. So there were little holes in there. You got to make sure you do it. And I'm going to be real quiet here and see if you can hear my click, click. When it knocks at you, you know that you've actually filled it. You've changed that stitch. I'll leave that alone, and I'll show you how to change it another way as well in just a minute. The next thing I did was I went into my stamp shape menu this time, and I picked the open shapes tool. So this has, actually I meant closed shapes. This has some flowers. These are all closed areas. And I selected this little flower right here. Now it's rather large right now. You'll notice I've got my 10 5/8 border around, and I'll show you how to do that if you don't know how to do that in a second. And I made my flower smaller. Considerably smaller because I wanted it proportional to what we've got down here. I think I went to like 102. So there, that looks pretty good, right? And then I just filled that with a fill stitch. So I'm going to go back in and grab the color purple and change it back to a fill stitch. Touch OK. Oop, I needed the flood fill tool. If you don't flood fill it, you get a single dot. So I'm going to undo, touch the flood fill key, and touch my purple petals. I'm going to change my color to an orange color and get the next area. Ooh, hello, I've got a bleeder somewhere. So let's go in and zoom in and see what's happened. I'm going to pan over, And you'll notice that I have open spaces right there. Well, that's not optimal if you're trying to fill it in. That's simply the way the design is created. No big deal. We're going to tell it not to stitch. So I'm going to say no sew, but I'm going to draw me a little line right here. And I'm going to pan and do that around the other side. Oh, have to turn off the pan tool. It doesn't matter. You just want to close that area. Since it's not going to stitch, we're good. You don't have to be perfect. Just close the area. So now we should be able to flood fill. There we go. And it won't stitch my little line. Now let's go back in here and change the color to yellow and fill that in. So far, so good. And, you know, I don't think I want my outline of my flower to be black. Green. So let's change the color. Let's come back into our properties, turn that stitch back on, and let's change the color to black. Flood fill and touch it. And my girl is talking to us. There we go. So let's go ahead and touch next because we're ready to rock and roll here. I'm going to have it link all of my regular fill stitches so that when I make a change to one, you know, actually, I think I turned those fill stitches off. I did. I mean, that outline off for there. I did. So let's do that. I don't want an outline at all on this. So I'm changing it to no sew so that we don't have any outline stitching. I'm making sure I've changed it so if it clicks at me, I'm good. That's what I'm waiting on. Well, now we shouldn't see an outline at all because I did not put an outline on mine. That's what I want. We're going to link all of our fill properties right there. And I'm going to turn on my undersewing because that'll give your stitches stabilization and keep them from puckering and help it spread itself out and meet the other side. And then we're going to touch the arrow key and arrow through till we see our purple color. So let's touch the link key for that one to link all of those fills together. And I changed that size way down as far as it'll go, which is 50%. And touched OK. So now we've got a small decorative fill and we've got our flower and we're about done with this, guys. So last thing I'm going to do is touch the memory key and save it to the machine because there's one other step I wanted to do. So I'm going to go ahead and set this one and touch OK. There we go. Now I'm going to add back to it because I forgot to do this one first. We're going to do my design center. I'm going to come out of my memory pocket. And the reason I'm doing this is for placement for my heat transfer vinyl. So there we go. There's my garden. I'm going to come in here and we are going to grab the selection tool and we're going to draw around what we want to select. And I want to select my flower and cut it out. So I just tapped around it and let's hit cut. And I want to turn off my fill. So we'll change it to no sew, paint bucket and touch everything and turn it off. All right, so let's touch next. And we're going to link our outline and change that outline because I told you I'd show you how to change it. So this is how you change it. You link it and it'll change all of those parts at one time instead of having to touch the individual pieces. So that gives me a little running stitch. I want to change the color so you all can see it land on top of there. Let's go with purple spine. All right, we're setting that and it's going to say, okay, you can save that if you want to. If you're planning on doing this multiple times, go ahead and put it in your machine's memory so you have it to come back to. Go ahead and set it, say okay. Now, One of the things I love about my Luminaire is when I make that mistake and forgot to do that first, it allows me to change the order of sewing. So let's go in and do that. I'm going to go edit. It landed right where it was on the other page, so I know I'm lined up good. Let's come down here and let's change that to sew first. So now my little purple outline is sewing first. And I'm going to change its color to the color applique material because I want my ScanNCut to know I want it to cut that as an applique piece. Even though I'm not using fabric, I want it to cut my heat transfer vinyl out of that line. That's why I put it in there. So now it's the color applique material, and I'm good with that. I want to select my garden with the flower in it. So I'm going to go ahead and touch the right arrow on the selection menu. And we're going to do the magic of my connection here. We're going to touch the applique badge, and we're going to touch applique patch for selected colors. Now this is awesome. We're going to choose the color purple. Well, that was silly of me. When I did this originally, I made this a different color. So hold on, guys. We just learned something that I forgot to do. So I'm going to cut this. I apologize. So we're going to delete that part out. Not a problem. We'll go back to add. There's a reason that we save things. So we're going My Design Center out of the pocket. Sorry about that. Come in here and grab this, but it gives you an excellent reason why you make things different colors. I don't care what color it is. Actually, red is fine. We're going to change this fill to a different color. Actually, we need it to have our decorative fill on it though. So let's do the decorative fill. We just have to have that color. So, and I could have changed it right here. I didn't think of that. I could have just changed my color here. Let's go, oops. Let's go to our decorative fill. There we go. And change, actually, let's link our decorative fill and change it to 50%. That's all we've got to do here. Touch OK. And now we're going to set it. There's one last thing. Then I had forgotten to do this. I did not do a heavy stitch. So you have a heavy stitch and a thin stitch. We're going to go with a thin one. That way you're not sewing for days and days and days over something that doesn't need that much stitching. And let's set that. All right, now, so when I go in there and I go to edit and I go applique patch for selected colors, if I choose my purple, notice it doesn't get my decorative fill, which is what we want. So we're going to go ahead and say next. I changed my density to where it was 1 because I wanted it more dense. I didn't want it way dense. I just wanted it more dense than it was. I touched OK. And let's see what it does for us here. Notice how I've got a little applique stitch around there, and it's turned that texture, that color into an applique. Totally on the machine. No software required, which is awesome. So we're going to go ahead and say, okay, we're going to touch our memory key and we are going to send this to our ScanNCut machine. I'm going to go ahead and say transfer. But if you all don't mind, I'm going to use the actual one that I used on the other side of my flag so things actually match up. Is that good with you, Barbara?
Yeah. When you get a chance, just let us know. We have a few questions coming in.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and touch the home key and bring up the one that I actually did. So we're going to go into embroidery and bring it out of my memory pocket. This way, mine will actually match up. There we go. Nope. Delete. Where's the one with the applique on it? Aha. Oh, that's what I forgot to show you too. So here you go. So my happy place was the last part of this project. So let me go ahead and touch delete. I'll delete my text and we'll touch add. I went into my text menu, and if you don't know it, you have quite a few fonts to choose from. I'm going to choose font number 11, and I just typed is uppercase, and let's go to the lowercase. If you need a space, this is your space key. And I went with the My. I just thought this was a fun, summery looking font. If you need to go to the next line, you touch the Enter key, and that takes it down to another line. H. If I can spell today, space and place. Once you've done that, go ahead and touch Set, Edit, and I move it with my Move key so that it stays in the center. That makes life a little easier. I'm going to do one last thing. We're going to change that color to the color green. Did I not say change the color? There we go. Slide it down, and we're going to, all right. So if I only want to change one letter, guys, when I touch my black color tile, it's going to just change the letter I. If I want to change all of the text on the Is My segment, I touch this multiple color key and then choose my color tile. So now let's go down and do the same thing for Happy Place. When I touch the first color tile in that text segment, it grabs all of them. You'll notice how it shows Happy Place there, and all of the color segments are selected. And now I'm going to change it to green. So everything is set. Let's go ahead and touch OK. And now we're ready to transfer this over to our ScanNCut machine. Let's touch the memory key and the transfer key. Let me look at one last thing before we do that. Let's look at our color segments. Yes, we're good. So memory, transfer to the ScanNCut machine, and then touch the transfer key. And it's ready to go. So let's see here. Let's go over to our ScanNCut real quick. Sorry about that. I have to move a cart so you guys can see me. So I've got my stabilizer ready. That's not what we're ready for just yet. We are going to put heat transfer vinyl in the color purple down first. So shiny side is down in this particular heat transfer vinyl that I'm using. The dull side is my glue side. The shiny side is my carrier sheet. So we're going to go face down. So I need everybody on the other side there to remind me, you must mirror your pattern, Cindy. Got that? That's your job today. You must mirror your pattern, because I tend to forget that when I go live. And since I've forgotten so much else today, we'll just see if we can't remember that little trick. So at our ScanNCut machine, we're going to touch the home key. And we're going to go over to the My Connection feature. This time we are going to grab it and we are going to retrieve it. Because we sent it from our machine, we're going to choose wireless LAN device instead of something in the memory. Now, this is a separate memory pocket, just so you know. It's going to have a W when you save something that you've sent over from your ScanNCut machine, because it's a separate memory. Since I color-coded my first piece to be applique, and since the other applique was created on the machine, the badge is our applique key. We're going to touch that. And I'm going to grab my color, the flower, because that's the one that's purple, and touch OK. And we're going to set it. You can.
And we're going to mirror image it, right?
Thank you. We're going to touch Edit, Object Edit, and we are going to mirror image that so that it's mirrored in place. We'll touch OK and touch OK one more time. And then let's load our mat into the machine.
I have to give credit to the Kirksifs because they reminded us. Cindy, mirror your pattern.
Yes, I always appreciate that, because I have a tendency to forget it. So, well, wait a minute. Let's load my mat here. There we go. You'll notice I held my hand on there until it got taken up under the rollers. That will help you out greatly. Now, one other thing I want you to do is, this is one of my favorite features of this machine, the background scan. We're going to go ahead and background scan it because this lets me use my scraps of fabric. I don't really have to pay attention where I lay something down unless I'm trying to really fussy something. So I'm scanning it in, and I'm going to tell you what blade I'm using right now. I've got the vinyl auto blade. It has the most delicate tip of any blade that we have. So I'm trying to get my finger out of the way so you can see that. It is a teeny tiny tip. And that means it will cut things beautifully. So you can see exactly where the media is on my mat. Let's go ahead and drag this over. And now I'm going to say, okay, because I'm ready to go forward. And we are going to say, please select. Now, if you were cutting both of yours at the same time, you could have duplicated this on the machine. Since I already did one, I didn't need to do two, but would you let me choose cut, and I'll back up and show you that. So let's back up and go back into edit. If you were doing two of them, if you're doing a double-sided, you could duplicate right here in your object edit menu. You could choose two and move them around. So you can get everything done at one time. I'm going to go ahead and trash that second one because I don't need it, and go ahead and go back to the cut screen. So we're just going to say, okay, till we get to please select. Because your machine does so many things, you have to tell it what you want it to do. It will cut, it will draw, it can emboss, it can foil. So and it can paper pierce. So there's many things that you can do. We are going to cut today. And you can touch a test cut. There's one last thing I want to do. We're going to go into our settings and go to page 2. You want to make sure that half cut is on because we want to cut through the glue, through the vinyl, but not through the carrier sheet. And I want to turn on my weeding box. That lets me save vinyl. So it gives me a square around the outside edge of my pattern so that I know where I can cut away. Let's go ahead and touch start. You can put your test cut on if you want to. I'm going to live on the wild side today since I have already cut vinyl today. We'll go ahead and say start and let it do its thing. So it's going to cut our vinyl out here. The first thing it does is it tests the blade depth, and then it tests the depth of the material. And it's now doing its thing. Okay, Barbara, I can answer some questions why it's cutting.
Well, we have a few that came in. One is that, can the older ScanNCut machines use the vinyl auto blade?
Yes. Well, what are they talking older? If it's a DX machine, then yes. If it is a CM machine, then no.
Great. Oh my goodness, it's so fast and already finished.
Yes, my flower is done. So let's look at this front. And let's say select the next part because we want to go back and grab the My Garden and touch OK, touch set. And once again, I need to go into my edit menu. And since I did not eject my mat, unload my mat, my last scan is still there. I'm not worried about that. I'd rather just leave my mat on the machine. We're going to go object edit and mirror and touch OK. And now let me go around, walk around here. And grab a piece of vinyl.
So just to remind everyone, what type of vinyls are you using today?
I am using heat transfer vinyls. You could use fabric if you want. I just decided to switch it up a little bit and use heat transfer vinyl. So let me show you me putting this down on here. I'm just kind of putting it on my mat inside the grid lines. No big deal, nothing major. Pretty easy to go with. So let's go ahead and touch OK on our machine, and let's do a background scan so I know where my media is. Once we get that done, we'll go weed the flower. And I'll explain weeding if we don't know that one.
It scans and it cuts. So we did get some questions, like an overall question, which we'll get to after this. But just to remind everyone, the models that you can do the transfer to the XP2 Luminaire that she showed you earlier are the SDX330D ScanNCut and the SDX SDX325. And those two models have the capability and the inside hardware to transfer directly to the Luminaire XP2 by Brother, which we're showing today.
And what it unleashes on my Luminaire, I love. I'll have to say that is one of my favorite parts about it, is the fact that I can do an applique directly there on the machine without having to go to software.
Exactly. Lady Fair commented, I have the SDX330D. I really want the Luminaire next, and that would be a very good combination.
Yes, that would be an awesome combination. Now I'm going to use my weeding tool here today. And the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of the excess vinyl by cutting off around that little line. And when you get up underneath light, you can see your little line that you did. We're going to save, so you can see how it allowed me to save some vinyl there. And then I'm going to peel away there. And I'll grab a little bit, pick it up. If you get into little bitty tight spaces, you will find this thing very handy. And it's nice to get it started as well. And I did something on purpose so you all could see something a little different. And after this is done cutting and I'm done weeding this part, I'm going to go ahead and go into the machine before I weed the next piece so that we can get started on this and keep going forward. Otherwise, we're going to be a little slow today. So I've gotten all of that weeded out. Very important. Make sure your edges get taken up as well. Otherwise, you will transfer them onto your flag.
We just got a
really pieces there. Make sure they're off.
We just got a really funny question from the Kirksifs. She says, well, it's not a question, but she says, I wish the ScanNCut would actually go weed my flower garden.
Yeah, me too. I like that comment. Okay. So let's go get this set up on our machine. While that's cutting. Oh, yeah.
We did get a question really quick. Where did that tool case come from? I believe that one is no longer available, but you can get the
full toolkit is no longer available. They sell the weeding tool and the spatula as a set. And the spatula is the bomb. Absolutely the bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, guys. So I want to show you a couple other things over here on the machine. Since we added the text last, let's go ahead and make sure our entire design is aligned. So I'm going to go into my multiple selection key, and I am going to, first of all, select this. And behind, well, let's see here. Let's grab that one. We're going to say set, and we're going to grab the next one and say set. So now all of those are selected. I don't want them to fall apart, so I'm going to group them. Because remember, that outline is going to be slightly different than the other one. So now we can go select everything, touch OK, and on your machine in the edit menu, you have an alignment tool. And you can align to the center. So you notice how my happy place moved over just a little bit. Now it's in the center. And then we can center the whole kit and caboodle to where it's in the center of your hoop. Touch OK. Mine does not like me right now because evidently it doesn't want to be in the center of the hoop. I want it on that 10 5/8 by 10 5/8 hoop. So I have an idea. Let me ungroup my text, and we're going to make my text a little bit smaller. Usually I will match up how many clicks I did, but now I'm in. So let's go ahead and actually it should have stayed in place, so we're good. So let's go ahead and touch embroidery. And now let me show you how to align it up, okay? So on your machine, you have a little W. And that W is going to drop something on your bed, on the bed of your machine. Do you see, y'all see that little crosshatch cursor there? This is really a slick method of doing this.
It's like it's illuminating on the hoop, Cindy. Is that why they call it a Luminaire?
That is correct, because it is putting that little luminous light there on mine. So notice how I can get that crosshair right in the center of my markings. With that way, I don't have to futz and make sure that it's going to be in the right place on the hoop. I am in there, and I can say, all right, that needs to be moved just a hair. Let's check the middle before I stick this down here, because once I stick this down here, I'm stuck like Chuck. It's not going anywhere. The rubber backing on the back of this does not allow it to move very much. It is not going to move. Okay. And you just check your line in each spot. Evidently, I'm a little crooked in here today. Slightly crooked all the way. You can see how, like I said, it's that plastic backing on the back of this fabric makes it stuck like Chuck. That should be pretty much center all the way down. Yep, we're good. So now I'm ready to embroider, and I need to put my first color in, and we'll let it go, which is purple, even though I'm going to use pink to heat transfer vinyl. And let's go ahead and let it go. Oop, wait, why is it starting at the end? That is weird. Hold on a second, guys.
Oh, the joy.
I had to reorder something a little bit.
No worries. L Favor asks, how stuck is Chuck?
Chuck gets stuck pretty good sometimes. It is, I mean, it's seriously down on there.
Okay, we lost the machine.
All right.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So now we have our second part. And I probably do need to use my weeding tool this time, because I've got little teeny tiny parts in the center. So for sure, we're going to grab it with this. And y'all can tell that this little carrier sheet likes your heat transfer vinyl. That's what makes it go from one place to another. Oh, fiddly-dee. I keep getting my purple piece in. And I'm not usually as forgetful as I am today, am I, Barbara?
Oh, no, you're actually phenomenal. Oh, my goodness. You're so knowledgeable.
I have, we normally are a little bit less discombobulated, but, you know, it is the busiest time of the year for us in Brother World.
Oh, yes. And we're planning for so many exciting things in the fall. Like Brother and AllBrands will be at the Houston International Quilt Festival at the beginning of November. So if you haven't yet, please register for that. And we'll be there with the amazing technology.
And I'll be there.
Yes. Cindy will be there.
AllBrands booth.
Showing ScanNCut and more.
We always have so much fun there. We're just about done with this. So you can see how I'm just picking it up. Sorry, my little pieces with my little weeding tool here. And if you want, you could save the scraps, the big scraps, and you could throw them down on embroidery and just tear it away. I am kind of a perfectionist when it comes to this. I like them to actually be tucked under all the way. So that's my challenge. All right. And I got a little bit more here.
So while you're finishing that up, just to recap, because we had a few folks coming in the middle of the broadcast and maybe they don't have the Luminaire or the ScanNCut yet. Can we just briefly explain what we're doing today, with what machines, and if it's possible on, maybe machines that don't have the transfer?
If they don't have the transfer, it is possible to do what I've done. If they've got My Design Center on their machine, they would simply use their drawing function on their machine to draw the My Garden out, okay? And then you would take that and scan it back into your ScanNCut machine. You would scan to USB. That scans it in as a JPEG. So if you have a JPEG, you can bring a JPEG into the Luminaire, into My Design Center, and create the design in the same manner.
Yes, so I absolutely love Brother My Design Center. It's on the Brother 10 needle embroidery machine. It's on the Luminaire. It's on the Stellaires. And it's also, if you have an old Dream machine, it's on that older model as well. But it is one of my favorite features of a Brother machine, because you can actually digitize designs in the machine without the use of embroidery software.
And if y'all don't realize that I'm running around like a chicken with its head cut off on the back here, trying to get everything stitched so that we can actually place this heat transfer vinyl, then we'll let it go do its thing, and I'll answer all the questions that we can answer once we get our heat transfer vinyl placed. So I've got myself a wool pressing pad here just so that I protect my surface, so that I don't melt my cutting mat. And this is just about done stitching. And even though I'm putting pink down, the purple is fine for the My Garden. I just stitched everything in the same color just for ease, because I knew I needed purple for the flower, because I was using purple there, and it's going to have a very light zigzag on it. So this is just about done with this part. We're good.
Here's a question from Candy Gordon. Candy asks, when cutting applique using SVGs, with purchased embroidery designs, do you make them slightly larger?
I usually put an offset. It really depends on the design itself, honestly. Because if it's got an outside and an inside, if you add an offset or you resize it, it can do it disproportionately. The offset is your better option. I usually would add an offset of about 1 millimeter, just so that it bumps it out. If you've created it yourself on the machine, like I just did, or if you've used my P Design, it will bump it out automatically for you to the correct distance. So we're just going to hold this down here for a few seconds. You'll notice I'm pressing. I am not ironing. And once I've got that in place, I'm actually going to leave it there, but I'm going to cut back this little corner. And the reason I'm leaving that carrier sheet over the top of it is so that I do not peel up my HTV when I go to the next part. And I'm going to go ahead and cut around this just to make life a little easier. And the reason I say that is because it's easier to place these two parts individually than all at once if you're trying to avoid hitting something else. In my opinion. That's not written in stone. But I found that to be the case today. So now I've got both of these down. And I'm ready to press them. And I'm going to go ahead and put this piece back over the top of that, just in case I missed any spot. Make sure it's in the right spot. spot. Because it looks like I cut a little close to one spot. There we go. Oh, fiddly-dee. There we go. Okay, so now we're just going to press again. Press down. So once you've got it pressed on there, peel it back. If some comes up, then press it down again. But as you peel it back, you'll notice it's sticking there pretty good. I'm good to go. And then you're ready to put it back into the machine and finish up your stitching. But I think you all understand what an embroidery design does when it stitches. So I'm going to show you a little up close of what this looks like when it's finished. To see, so you can see the decorative stitches that we put in. So can you all, let me see if I can get closer. Maybe, let me bring that other one over to the other camera. Let me tell you the rest of how I finished it off. So I folded it in half. I ran a line across here with my heat away pen. I used a triple stitch on my machine, and I'll show you what that is. And I used the roller foot. You can use the roller foot or the non-stick foot. Either one will work, okay? And you do that after the whole thing is finished. So what I did was after it was finished, I tore away the backing. And like I said, it is sticky once you've pressed it. So it actually does help you to put it back together. If you iron this by itself, you need to make sure you put a pressing cloth over the top of it, a nonstick pressing cloth over the top of it, so that your heat transfer vinyl does not melt, okay? And then you're just going to stitch it. I stitched my line across first, and then I stitched the sides down. So I'm going to show you at the machine what the feet I used look like, okay? And what stitch I used. And I'll show you a couple of other tricks. And I'm going to save this to my machine so I can pick up where I left off. So I'm going to go ahead and say memory and machine. I did fast forward through this stitch, so I will show you that. You touch your plus minus key, go forward a color, because I did not see the need to tack down my heat transfer vinyl. It's on there with an iron on, so I did not see that need. I did the zigzag stitch for decorative element, and that's really the only reason I used that. I did touch the memory key, didn't I? If I didn't, I'm going to do it again just so that I can pick right back where I left off. So let's go home and let's talk a little bit about the sewing features that I used. I'm going to touch the sewing key and touch OK. And I'm going to touch my triple stitch key. So right there, that's the one I used. Now, let me flip to the other camera and show you my foot that I used. So I do need to change out my foot. Let's put it onto a sewing foot here. This right here is my little roller foot. You see how it's got a little roller on it? That rolls that, and it doesn't stick to this. So it rolls that fabric right through it. It is really nice, and it's a little snap-on foot, just like all of our feet. Push your foot down, and it'll snap right into place. If you don't want to mark your fabric, you could actually use the built-in camera function, the projection feature on the machine. So if you don't want to do that, you can go ahead and go into your projection screen if you don't want to mark. I'm about 2 inches down, so what I can do is turn on my subline and turn it to a grid and basically make that grid as large as I can get it, till it's about where I want it to be. I may need to do 2 grid squares or 1 grid square, but this will give you, actually I'm going to need to do 2 grid squares. So we'll take it about, that's pretty good right there. And I'm going to show you, I think I can show you what it looks like. I'm pretty sure I can if I turn off my light on my machine so you can see. And let me turn my projection feature back on. So let's go back to the bed of the machine. So you can see how 2 grid squares over is the edge of my fabric, basically. Or you can just simply use the single line and mark it like I did. But that Teflon foot will allow it to roll over there very, very nicely. And I did the same thing along the edge. So you can either run your foot along the edge or you can use your laser guideline, your projection guideline, whichever you prefer. Okay, and let's see here. Can you see those? Yeah, you can see those decorative stitches real pretty right there. All nice and projected for you. So you would finish up your project of all the stitching, and there's one last thing I want to show you on your machine in embroidery mode. When you get to the last color, let's go ahead and go back and bring that embroidery design up. It's in the memory of my pocket because I think I saved it 3 times now, just to make sure. When you're in embroidery mode, when you get to the last color, to your green, so once you get right there, go ahead and touch OK. Once you get there, you can touch that single color key, and it will do the rest of the colors without stopping for you. That makes it a little bit quicker and faster to finish your project. All right. So now, Barbara, you ready for me to come back and let's finish this up? You there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here. Sorry. And thank you everyone for bouncing back. We got most everyone back on the second portion of the video. So I really appreciate that. To see both, you can actually visit the shop description in the video, and both are linked now. So you can watch part 1 and part 2. So I appreciate all of your
yeah, we apologize for the technical difficulties, but things happen that we
can't
predict.
Especially when you're live.
So especially when somebody forgets their brain in the other room today.
I'm glad I'm not the only one. You know,
it evidently left me totally in the middle of it, but hey.
So we just have 2 questions, and we do have the giveaway. So if you haven't yet, please comment #AllBrands to be eligible to win that. But here's one from Lisa. Did you embroider this on waterproof canvas?
That's pretty much what it is. It's a waterproof canvas type outdoor fabric.
All right. And Cindy Ball asked, what letter is assigned to this foot? I need it. And
there is no letter. It's called the roller foot. And I think they put the number up there. It's SA190.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And let's just look at that again. Can you show it on the camera? It's so, so cute. And what a great gift for people as well. Not just to make
hold on a second. I'm changing cameras because I've got shorts on underneath here. I'm in my Zoom meeting clothes. It's so warm in my room when I've got all these lights on. I have to look professional since I'm on for Brother. Here we go. This is what the finished project looks like. And you can see those I did my decorative stitches in purple over the top of my pink.
It looks so great with the fill stitch over that HTV sizer vinyl. So cute.
It just does a nice little decorative element and adds just a little something extra for it.
Peekaboo, Cindy. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, let's go ahead and let's do the giveaway.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll add that to the screen. We have 75 entries already. So
great. Drum
roll, please. And our winner is, I love all these people, Loretta Johnson. Yeah. Congratulations. Oh my goodness. So please be sure to email me at events@allbrands.com to claim your prize. Congratulations.
Yes. That's exciting. Yes. We were going to talk about some stuff while the machine was stitching, but sorry guys, we just didn't have time.
Yeah.
Another day.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And please come and see us at the Houston International Quilt Festival. I'll be there. Cindy will be there. A ton of amazing other people are going to be there. And we're going to be showing the ScanNCut, the Luminaire, and whatever is, we'll see what's coming up. And Brother is always making things easier for people. So I just love this transfer feature between the ScanNCut and Luminaire. So just to recap, everyone, we have the Summer Sizzle Sales Event, which is this up to 72 months financing for the month of July 2022 on the Brother XP2 Luminaire. If you're interested in a 10-needle, 6-needle, or Persona machine, we also have 60 months on this as well. But today we showed the XP2 Brother Luminaire machine in combination with the SDX3. This is AllBrands. So here's our locations. We have 7 locations now in Louisiana and Texas. Our brand new member of our AllBrands family, our new store is in Bossier City, Louisiana. So all of you Arklatex folks, please come and visit our new location there. But if you aren't in our area, we do have the ScanNCut SDX325F and a lot of the accessories that Cindy showed today that can be purchased on our website, allbrands.com. So I hope that was helpful. And guess what we have, Cindy?
What?
The roller foot.
You have the rotary blade?
Rotary. Yeah. We were showing the
Those are awesome. So if you don't have a 330D, you didn't get a rotary blade in your box. So the rotary blade opens a whole new world of experiences for what we can cut. We can cut wool without a backing. You can cut lace. You can cut neoprene. I mean, that's really cool. Batting. None of, basically on either my standard or low-tech mat, all of these were cut. This is fleece, like regular polar type fleece. Dense wool. I've got craft felt, which was the biggest pain in the patootie to cut ever. Untreated cotton, so you don't have to treat your cottons anymore if you don't want to. Lycra, but I don't use it for my cottons as much as I do for my unusual fabrics because I don't mind treating my fabrics. Usually I'm putting it on something else. But crushed velvet wouldn't be something that I would want to, that I would cut with my regular blade. It wouldn't do it. The organza. I've got a sweater knit in here somewhere too. This is sparkly sequin knit. It kind of got smushed in my last trip. By the way, don't iron sparkly sequin knit. It melts.
I would be afraid to cut that with anything besides the rotary blade.
Sweater knit. Yeah, you couldn't cut it with anything besides the rotary blade because it would just push across. The plushy dot fabric. Now that on this one, I would say you do need to have a flat side on one side of it. You can't have fuzzy on both sides of that one because the dots make it too challenging. Loose woven wool. This is even a more plush fabric than what I had before. Flannel knit, or actually just flannel. And then this is just a poly knit. What else do I have in there? Oh, organza with the tulle with a pattern on it. I did the direct cut on this one. So I scanned it in and had it identify that outline, and it cut right around it. And then we're back to the beginning.
Oh my goodness.
Those are the ones that I've played with, but there's tons. And that's been a hard blade to find. So it's exciting that you all have it. Have it back in stock.
Well, I think that concludes the show today, but thank you everyone for watching. Cindy, where can everyone follow you to learn more about ScanNCut and software? You're a software expert as well.
My Facebook page is Cynthia's Embroidery. I believe you can find me by @Cynthia's Embroidery 1. I have a YouTube channel that's Cynthia's Embroidery. And if you're on Facebook, we have a new group called the Education Connection. And that's Heather Banks and I started that so that you guys could get information from brother educators about all the different products that we have. Not in a, it just basically, so when I said earlier that Heather and I just did a video on how to use a pattern that's built into the ScanNCut when you don't have my connection. We just did a video in there on that last month. So we go live once a month, but we are skipping June because we are just in situation overload. If we add anything else, we may just get topped out. But Tuesdays, if you're interested in Brother Live, Tuesdays at 3:30 Central, I'm on my YouTube and Facebook channel doing all Brother software. So you can send in questions, because that is what I base the shows off of, what questions I get that week. Now, having said that, I will probably not be digitizing a logo on there, because that takes usually longer than an hour. But we do tips and tricks.
Yeah, Cindy has some amazing books too available for softwares.
And
so
those.
Yes, we do. So if this video was helpful for you, please click the bell to subscribe to AllBrands YouTube channel. If you're watching us on Facebook, please follow us on allbrands.com, and also join our group, allbrands.com forum community on Facebook. And we'll share our videos each Thursday at 3:30 p.m. Central Time. And we do giveaways after each one, so maybe you'll be a lucky winner next week. And next week we have the Grace Company. So we have Alyssa and some other folks from there, and we're going to be talking about long arms. So we're really excited about that. We hope you join us there. So thank you so much, Cindy, and thank you everyone for watching.
So I should say this coming Tuesday, I will not be on live.
Oh, really? Yeah,
I'll be taping in Bartlett for the new product. So this Tuesday is out. Zipper, can't tell you. I told you
everybody, get your tickets to the Houston International Quilt Festival. You can find them at quilts.com, and it's November 3rd through 6th this year. So we won't be dressing up for Halloween, but it's going to be great. So we hope to see you there in Houston, Texas at the George R. Brown Convention Center. So
it's always a good time.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.